and learn. But there are a lot of other things that maybe we'll get into as we continue to talk. But I'd also say, beyond like the back office stuff, so accounting and knowing that thing, I wish we had kind of realized that marketing and advertising are quite difficult, and they require diligence and a plan and then consistent engagement. These things are not easy. So, a chance to always grow, but also maybe to involve more people and hand things off a little more. But I love, we said, LaShawn, about handing things off in a way that'll help the person doing them be successful.
Yes. Sally always wants to talk about like accounting and shit, and that is so boring. She tried to work that in last year too. You see how she like snuck that in? She's gonna try and do it again, y'all. That's the boring part of this. You have to know it. But Sally's always like, I'm gonna talk about accounting.
Christin,
and taxes.
Christin, I excel at spreadsheets.
Hey! Oh!
Snap. All right, Christin, what do you wish you knew then that you know now? Marketing's hard.
Here's what I know now. I know. Here's the thing. If you're not pissing someone off, your voice isn't loud enough.
Yeah.
And for a long time, and we're still probably not. Well, we probably are. I don't know that we're pissing off enough people, right? Like that's the thing. I remember Dorothy Snarker. Does anyone know Dorothy Snarker? Blah. None of the young kids. I remember I was sort of pontificating with someone that, was it Dorothy, what is it? What's it called?
Dorothy Surrenders.
Thank you, Dorothy Surrenders. Sorry, Snarker. Anyway, I remember she posted something and got like a whole bunch of negative comments, and I can't remember what it was about. And I was talking with some friends, and they were like, oh man, that is just a bummer. Like, did you see? And I was like, are you kidding me? I go, that means people are reading it. Yeah. That means people are paying attention. And if you're not like making someone angry or getting someone to like dislike you, it means like your reach isn't big enough. So in a weird sort of way, in this community, and I love us, but like we are very opinionated. We have thoughts. And we want people to hear our thoughts because we don't see ourselves, right? Like, the reason we're passionate, the reason we're here, the reason we celebrate this little bit of stuff that we get from, like, straight white dudes is because we never see ourselves enough. And so we want to see our thing and the thing that we care about. And sometimes people don't get it exactly right. And when you don't, we will let you know. And I think it should be... I think it's a good thing though, right? Like it's good when you haven't hit it right and someone tells you about it, because A, their voice is being heard, and B, like your reach is large enough. And so I think at the beginning, I really thought like just because I was making content for like the lesbian and queer community, people would be like, oh, thank you. And sometimes they're not. And so it was sort of like, well, if my reach is big enough, if I like honked some people off or I didn't do it exactly right, like they're paying attention, and that's okay. So I think I wish I knew that earlier. So I get my feelings hurt a lot because people don't realize like I used to read support comments, and like people would get mad. Like they would like all caps yell at me all the time, and I'm like, I really want to make you happy. So yeah, I think getting a thicker skin, I probably needed that a little bit earlier. That's what I would say.
Going back to you, LaShawn, what has surprised you the most in this journey with Reverie TV?
Well, I mean, I went from being a nurse for 9 years to discovering film and then going to film school and then joining and doing what I'm doing right now with Reverie. And somewhere in there is that brief stint where I was like, I'm not doing anything in entertainment, I'm going to work in entertainment security, I'm just going to do security for a while, it's going to be fine, I'm not going to do anything else. So, but in those different roles, and military and there's so much, I've done supervisory and management stuff. That is nothing like what I do now. So there's a complete difference between being a manager to being an executive manager to being an owner who's an executive who's a manager of departments. And that is something I wish I knew more about. And even if I go online, I have to take like 4 different like C-suite level positions to like pick out the things that relate to what I actually do, because there's no such job. Like what I do doesn't exist, so there's nowhere for me to like look and say like, oh yeah, so this is how I handle this thing, or this is how I handle this thing. So it's definitely like a different level, because being a manager is one thing, and knowing that you're responsible for what the product looks like and how the product moves in the world when you're managing is a totally different monster. So that kind of stuff, those are things I pay attention to.
Rebecca, what surprised you in this journey with Fangirl Shirts?
I would say that how powerful this community can be if you just sort of reach out and start talking to people and realizing there are endless talents of all different kinds within the community, and we make each other so much stronger. We've had some amazing collaborations with now friends of ours. Our designer, anytime we have anything really complicated, our designer is a really good friend of ours, and within the fandom as well. And there's just, I mean, just making these contacts through this panel and through coming to Clexacon for the 3rd year now, it's been incredible in terms of realizing how much talent and how much knowledge is out there in this community, and if we just support each other in the way that we do, like there's really, I think, no end to what we could actually do if we all sort of help each other out. And that support is there. I think as women, sometimes we're afraid to ask for help because we have to prove that we can do it ourselves. And I think that the more that we do that, especially within this community and with each other, if we do that, I think we can get a lot more done. So I don't know. It always kind of amazes me when we come up with these like partnerships that work out really beneficially for everyone. So it's nice to continue to expand on that.
Sally?
Taxes.
Clearly.
Okay, so, but yes, collaboration. So, see this shirt that I'm wearing? All right, so did you see the movie?
Yeah.
All right, yes. So, friend of ours made this design sitting in the audience. Hi, Katie. Great work. This is one of many, like probably we're into double digits now of collaborations. So we have a variety of partnerships, which is awesome. And one of the things that we thought about when we were starting out, like not having a business background, was what's our approach going to be? Do we need to corner the market and form a monopoly and drive every other apparel provider out of business? That would be one approach. And then the other is to help a rising tide raise all the boats. So many people who are here at this con and other cons, fan artists and companies, a lot of the designs that we're selling are designs from fan artists who we collaborate with both at the convention and then on an ongoing basis on our website. And just knowing how open people are to collaboration. Sometimes we've asked them, sometimes they've approached us. Sometimes it was the result of like a 30-second conversation. Why don't we do this? Okay, let's do it. The depth of trust that is in this community for this kind of arrangement is, you know, a surprise, but not a surprise, actually. It's the kind of thing that you want to believe exists in the world. It doesn't exist everywhere, but it does exist very strongly in the LGBTQ community. And I think that is like one of the best surprises.
Christin, what has surprised you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think what surprised me, all of the collaborative pieces and the incredible talent, I think the thing that I am constantly amazed about is like how, and I do production as well as distribute, and it's like what's amazing is how much people like just want to work. Like they just want to come and play. Like they want to. So we have people who've come back to our productions like over and over again for not nearly what they could make in larger budget projects, but they continue to come back because they love the work and they want to do the work. And I think the artistry that comes in working with people and just being able to like make something that they're passionate about, just how generous they are with their time.
Do you guys want to do a retrospective? Like,
Let's think back. Should we do a retrospective?
like Clexacon now versus the first Clexacon. Like, how do you feel now about fangirl shirts? Like
Last year or 2000?
2017.
Okay.
And now here we are, 2019. Like, let's talk con life and like, what are some of the tips that you've learned as a mobile business?
I mean, some of it. Taxes are one.
Taxes.
1040, good buddy. So I mean, some of the things that we've learned from con to con, like for having done this now for the third year in a row, some of them are mundane and logistical, but they make life a lot easier. So like, instead of a cardboard box, get a suitcase that has wheels, or a duffel bag that you have to carry. You know, get something that is easier to transport. But I'd also say, like, comparing that first year, I remember set up, you know, like for Clexacon, which was 3,000 people, and now this year I think it's 5,000 people, setting up the vendor booth, and the vendor hall was much smaller then than it is now. Just kind of thinking like, we had a serious case then of imposter syndrome. Like, here we are trying to appear to be professional. Do you think people will like to buy our shirts? And then like just having an enormous line and being so overwhelmed. And so I think like, you know, I would say that like the evolution over the last 3 years, we've gone more towards diversification of what we're selling, and you know, just like getting better at doing it. But also, to some extent, the professionalization of what we're doing. I don't think we've fully made that transition from, you know, startup mentality and doing it on a shoestring. But I think maybe we're starting to see more of a path toward, you know, making it run more like a business and an operation while staying true to our roots of community and philanthropy and, you know, trust and helping each other and not being governed just by profit, but also recognizing that with greater professionalization will come greater ease of operations and help us avoid burnout.
Rebecca, did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, Clexacon 2017 was our first time vending ever. Like, we had never been to, I've been to a convention, you've been to a convention before that, but we had never vended. And I was scared. I was really scared because it was a huge investment in product up front and not having any idea whether people were going to buy our stuff. Like, and I mean, we didn't have a credit card reader until a couple of weeks before the con, and we were learning how to use it at the con. So like there's been a lot that we've learned for sure. Our product line has easily doubled or more since then, and not just t-shirts obviously, but all the other products and stuff that we sell. But I think we learned something at every single convention as well. We offer a way broader range of sizes at con than we did for that first convention. I think we're working on bringing greater diversity to our whole table and streamlining all the processes, like trying to figure out how can we get the line moving as fast as possible so that because people have stuff to do. I mean, it's a lot of standing around and waiting in line. We don't want them to have to wait in line at our table.
LaShawn, did you want to like do kind of a retrospective?
It's a little different for kind of what we do, but I think that like it still is, it goes to, the one thing that I'm always doing, and sometimes it's hard to see, is advocating for content that's on the queer women spectrum. But like, since we're catering to every letter in the alphabet, it's very difficult to see, you know, how much of their content is lesbian. Well, about a third of our content is lesbian. and easily half of that is POC. So it's something that like for a while, because like the numbers of content being created in general is, gay men are getting a majority of the money or, the exposure or whatever it is to create content. So they have in general more content available. So when we were looking for what we were calling low-hanging fruit, it was the easiest thing to find. And yes, we're looking for all of these other letters of the spectrum, but it also is like so for every 5 titles we get that are good for gay men, we get 1 or 2 that are trans, or 1 that's lesbian, or 1 like the numbers are very, very, very like skewed. That is changing a lot. So that is something that like is the difference between like how it was when the first time I came versus now. And it's also there's so many people not only making content but interested in making content. I mean the films that they're showing at the festival right now are fantastic, and so I hope to be able to like network with more people and just trying to be more visible, because while all of our teams are looking at getting content from everywhere, I'm focused on very specific things, or like I'm trying to network with people who are indigenous because I don't know any indigenous filmmakers, and that's content that I want, that I don't see, and they don't see it, and people with disabilities, and there's certain things that like I want to see that I'm like, okay, I'm like searching in these spaces to try to find people that make that kind of content. So that kind of thing is what's different from the beginning.
Kristen?
I didn't have a booth the first year because I didn't think that was like something that was going to be helpful. So I just hung out fangirl shirts the whole time. And then I like talked on panels and like talked to people. But do you remember that? Like I was just like, hey, what are you doing? And then I remember I talked to the convention people and I was like, yeah, well, I don't need a booth. And they're like, no, you really need a booth. And I was like, oh, okay. So like then last year I had like a table, but this year I've got like a whole like Christmas tableau. So if y'all haven't seen the Tello booth, like we got a Christmas tree and we got t-shirts over there and like hats, and so head over, get your photo. We have a cool Season of Love poster, so go check out the Tello booth. It's right next to Fangirl, so you can go buy a Fangirl shirt and you can go get a Riley Para hat, and you can like hang out by a fake fireplace and sing Christmas carols.
Let's talk about that though. Talk about this new project, because this is a new thing.
Here's what you shouldn't do. Don't co-produce and crowdfund a movie while you're at Clexacon. And don't need to get a visa for a very special Canadian to come to the United States. Because you're on a phone with managers and lawyers, and you have to run and do a panel, and then you have to run and do this other thing, and it's a little stressful. But also amazing all at the same time. But my focus, like I keep checking my phone because I'm like looking for documents for Oman visas and all that stuff. So don't do that. But on the other hand, like it's really cool to be here and be talking about Season of Love. So it's our holiday queer lady rom-com. Yeah. So we had a pitch to production holiday contest, and we had so many good submissions. I mean, like ridiculously good submissions that really we understand the Hallmark holiday trope, y'all. There is just a need in the community for it. And so we couldn't just pick one. That's my other problem. So we got 3 amazing ones. And the first one that came back with a full script that was fantastic was Catherine Trammell. And she came back with this like Love Actually type of theme. And it was like, oh my God, this is so good. So, and she's a first-time screenwriter. She's a writer, she's like a novelist. And so there was the first one that was done, so we did a reading of it and kind of heard it out loud and heard what we needed to change, and then we started casting it. And so now we just have this amazing cast. We still have two more people that we're looking at getting, and we did a crowdfunding campaign, and we have investors, and we just have people so excited because they're fine. And I keep saying, like, I don't know if someone is secretly making one also, but I know we're being real loud about it. So I don't want to say like we're the first, or you know what I mean, like you hate saying that, and then it's like someone's like, surprise! But as far as I know, we're going to be one of the first to have like our holiday movie. And here's the great thing, like we want to come out with 1 or 2 every holiday season. Like we want to have a pipeline so that we can like turn on the TV and see like fantastic like lesbian and queer women getting it on in the holidays, in the you know what I mean. So, and you know, here's the other thing that I want to say too, because it's like the three people who won. One's a writing team, so there's technically 4, but they're first-time writers. And when I read what they're delivering to me as a first-time writer, it is so good, and it's sort of like, I want to make all of them like right now, right? But we don't have the capacity or the funding to do it. But like to see the talent and the skills that are out there is unbelievable. And so it's just like this, like we have this like richness in the community that we've sort of tapped into. I mean, like these are such good, cute scripts. I can't believe these are first-time writers coming back with this amazingness. And so it's like, you want to, we are supporting them all, but it's like, I want them all like this year, you know what I mean? But the holidays are the holidays, right? So you have to, you know, space them out.
They're annual.
I know.
I know, right?
I know.
Taxes.
So,
I don't like taxes.
you know, and so I think we've been talking about like Hallmark is making 40 holiday movies this year. That does not include what Lifetime and Netflix are making, and who knows how many they're making. Hallmark alone is making 40, and you know there's not going to be a lesbian in there. So it's like, why can't we have our one?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
All right.
so we're making our one.
Okay.
That's Season of Love. So we're still 20, we've hit our stretch goal. I know, we've hit our stretch goal, and now we have another stretch goal. So we'll see, but we have 48 hours to maybe hopefully hit our next stretch goal. So we'll see, but you know what, we're just so grateful.
Gosh, Christin, if we've already backed this project,
Yes,
can we
ma'am.
increase our donation?
Yes, you may.
Oh,
Yeah. You go in and you give again, and what I do, because it will be me, is you do like a search function, and then I'm like, do you want to roll your gift up? So if you know, are like, oh, I gave $40, but I really want to blah, 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 and I'm going to give another 100 for the, what I make, I don't know exactly the prices of things. I mean, it's 40 if you want to see it. But yeah, you can absolutely roll it up, and we might, oh no, we will, because it's already been out there on social media. We're really lucky our actors are here, and so Sunday we're going to do a special message to our backers, letting them know when Dominique is going to be at the booth. So if you want a selfie, if you want a photo, if you want something, she will be at the Season of Love booth. I'm not saying when, because you have to be a backer and get the notice, but so if you back it, you'll be able to swing by and say hi to her before the convention ends. It will be Sunday, I will say that, because that's out there.
Sweet.
Yeah. That's the good part of
Okay.
about this.
Yeah, I was just going to say that running a business is just, you were talking about burnout. It's hard. After go. You got to start it up. You got to get the organizational structure in place. You got to pay the taxes.
Nobody wants to talk about taxes, Christin.
I'll talk. Okay. But these are all things that you got to think about before you set this up. It's great having a vision. It's great having a mission. It's great being like, oh my God, Christin, we should totally launch a business. And then you're like, woohoo, and you do it. And then you're like, fuck, we didn't do X, Y, Z. And you kind of backtrack. That's not a bad thing, y'all. It's good to learn all this as you go along. Start with a plan, start with a vision, and have a mission. All of us run businesses that are community-minded. That's why we do it, because we want to participate and give back to our communities, right?
But just sure as hell not doing it for the millions that we're making.
Or the monopolies we're creating.
That's right, or shutting down other apparel companies.
You know, right? So, but just make sure you have a plan. Don't just, I mean, it's great to jump into something and to see where it goes, but also just kind of have a backup like structure in place so that you can kind of take it to another level or try a new direction. So on that note, you want to throw it open to folks?
Sure. And before we throw it open, I want to echo what Andi just said, but I want to encourage everyone who's here in the room and everyone who may watch this on video later, if you have an idea, then do it. And even if you don't have it all figured out, I think what we've learned over the last 3, 4, or 5 years is we would rather take a risk and see what happens than not take the risk and wonder what would have happened. Because much of the time, if you have an idea that you're excited about, that you think is going to resonate, chances are it's going to resonate with other people who are having the same passion for what it is. So don't be afraid to fail, because that's how you learn. You want to fail forward. But if there's something that you've always wanted to do, just do it. Like, just give it a shot. Who knows what can happen?
I think to that also, pay attention to like the small, medium, and large versions of what that looks like, because you want to get out there and you want to get started and you want to just do it, and that's true. And then you also have to think about like not putting yourself in a situation that boxes you into that entry level, because what happens if you really take off and you have a big customer base and now the thing that you set up is not really designed to kind of go to this next level. Just always kind of be mindful of what growth would look like for whatever it is that you're trying to do.
All right, y'all.
I want to see Sally's 1099. What's your 1099? Show me your 1099.
Y'all, questions?
Who wants to start a business? Are y'all here because you want to start a business? Who wants to start a business? Yes, kind of. Yeah. What do you want to do? Yeah. What do you want to do? Footwear. Oh, that's tight. Footwear. So what's the foot? You
Grab a mic.
Grab a mic. What do you
Tell
want to do? What's the footwear?
It's going to be athleisure, luxury footwear. Mainly, I'm starting off with one sneaker, so I've started production, waiting for the order.
Congratulations!
So it's like really starting small with one style, 2 colorways, but eventually building from there. And I do want to make it eventually like unisex, so that the same sneaker could go either way.
So it's a bi sneaker, or a hand sneaker.
Nice.
And that's just kind of one facet of it, but it's also incorporating, like using an insole that most people don't really know the benefits of having that, so there's a comfort aspect to it as well. So,
What's it called? Do you have a website?
yeah, it's Archetype Footwear.
Archetype Footwear. Fantastic. Well done. Do you have any specific questions? Sally can do your taxes for your Excel spreadsheet.
I think what I've demonstrated is I cannot do the task.
But she does a great spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to like read audiobooks and figure things out
Love
as I
it.
go. Because I feel like my vision ends up getting bigger than the small little bite-sized things I have to do on a daily basis. So I don't have any questions because sometimes I'm just like a mess and jumbled up, but I'm just trying to take one little step at a time.
One step is perfect. That's it. That's what Susie Orman says.
There, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
There's a
Wait
microphone
for the
coming
mic.
your way.
So I have a kind of a question. I own a business as well, and when I look back on the times that my business has grown, or even when I look back and see where I am today, I can always point back to a yes. You know, that pivotal moment in your life where you said yes. And I just wanted to ask you guys if you could think of that moment, because I think that is such a powerful thing to tell people who are afraid, that it always starts with a yes to something. So what was your yes?
My yes would almost be a no.
Oh.
Because we all sat in the living room and we're like, this is what we're doing. So my no's would be, no, I'm not gonna edit another feature film. No, I'm not gonna take another job doing the American Idol security. No, I'm not gonna do whatever it is that might be really, really cool, and you got this great series that's about to jump off, and my mentor's editing Chicago Med, and I'm deciding that what is most important to me is the work that I could potentially do for the community, not just locally, not just United States, not just North America, but globally for queer voices, and that's way more important than any of the other things that I could have said yes to. So it's the yeses, but it's also the no's.
I'd say I would pick out 3 really big ones for us, and the first would be when Sally like picked up my idea and started running with it and was like, this could really be a thing, we could really do this. And I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And then the second one I would say was when we did the Peacemaker fundraiser after the shooting in Orlando, we got approached totally out of the blue to come and speak at San Diego Comic-Con in 2016, and that very much changed my life, changed our life, changed Fangirl Shirts for sure. Just going and seeing what San Diego Comic-Con looks like and speaking on a panel there. And then the next was Emily Andrus asked us to come to Clexacon 2017. She was like, you guys should come, you should be there, you should do this. And we were like, okay. So those were three very big yeses for us, for sure.
Sally, same yeses?
Those are all, I'd say, definitely big ones. I'd say some of the yeses that I think about, I mean, first of all, the way I am oriented is I want to say yes to everything. So I will, commit to doing a million things and then get them all done by, getting really stressed out, but then completing them. And I think, so learning to pace myself has been, and sometimes it's not necessarily no, but like, yes, let's do that, as the next thing. Like, and I'm not telling other people that, I'm kind of telling myself, you don't have to do everything all at once. I'd say something that is currently I'm pretty excited about is a friend of ours from the Golden Crown Literary Society, they have a table here, approached us and asked if we'd like to do their merchandise for their upcoming convention in Pittsburgh. And the question came in, I think it was like right as we were starting to really gear up with buying merchandise for Clexacon and getting all of like the things that we have to do in order, because there's a really kind of tight order of operations and time frame that these things need to happen in. Some of the things we can't do too early, because they just have to be done at a certain time. And so I was thinking like, oh, I'm so busy right now, like, should we say no to this? But like, yes, of course, this is like textbook, partnership of what we want to do with other queer lady organizations and businesses, and they're a nonprofit. And so just, find a way to get it done. And yeah.
I think the biggest yes that I had was when we ended up having to make our site subscription, which was really hard. And we made it the lowest price point possible because, we literally watched like how much is like a grande soy latte, and like that's what we were like. Well, if someone can afford that once a month, like they can like afford Tello. And so so I think that was really hard because no one was paying for content. Like everything was like on YouTube. It was free. You either waited or you ripped it from something. And so I think, and making our content long. Like when we first started, it was like, don't make it longer than 30 seconds because no one's gonna watch it. And it was like, well, our stuff was like 15 minutes long and you had to pay $3.99. So I think that was a big yes for us. But I think Fangirl Shirts, there's multiple yeses. Like there's multiple times when you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna go off this cliff. So yeah.
I'd like to say it's quite visionary though. I mean, you were Netflix before Netflix was Netflix with a subscription, and now we live in a subscription economy.
Yeah. We used to say like, Netflix, stop copying us, but then of course like no one, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? But we did, like we were subscription before Netflix was, and we were creating original content before Netflix was too. And then they kept copying us, y'all.
Except they don't.
We technically have more money than they do though, because they're way in debt with banks. So there's that. We don't owe $5 billion to banks. Yeah.
There's one down there, Bonnie.
Bonnie, pass that over. There you go.
Hi, I'm Beck. I run a conference and community for queer women entrepreneurs.
Cool.
I was wondering if you could maybe demystify collaborations a little bit. I know you mentioned it before, Rebecca. Said how important it is and how eager everyone is and easy it is to do them. How does that look? How do you approach somebody? And I guess, how does that work? I feel like it could be broken down a little bit more.
For us,
from our standpoint, it's actually fairly easy because a lot of the people that we're working with are friends of ours now that we've like conned together with or been in touch with on social media, and we know them. But Sally mentioned before, sometimes we approach them, sometimes they approach us, sometimes the art already exists. It's something that we've seen that they've posted somewhere and we've seen it and loved it and wanted to put it on a shirt. Sometimes it's something that we've actually brainstormed together. It depends on the situation and who the person is, but and then as well, oftentimes there'll be a charity component where if it's their original piece, we might ask them if they have a specific charity that they want to donate some or all of the proceeds to, and so it sort of evolves. Each individual collaboration is a little bit unique in that way. It just kind of depends. Like our most recent one, I guess, would be the Fight for Women that we did with Laura Innes. And she approached us and was like, hey, I did this for the Fight for Winona, do you want to put it on a shirt? And so we worked that out with her, but there have been a bunch. Sally had the idea as well to a couple of our friends or fan artists who they do t-shirts on like Redbubble and that kind of thing, but they don't do t-shirts at con because they're just one person and it's a lot to travel with a lot of merch. So we put their design on shirts and brought them to this con so that they actually have shirts here at the con on our shirts as well. So it just kind of evolves for us. Each individual situation is a little bit different. There's not sort of one standard approach that we do. It just kind of depends on the situation.
You can say it's kind of organic, right?
What's
Just
that?
the kind of an organic sort of
Yeah,
process.
It's organic how it comes about. I'd say also like we see the future or the need perhaps for like a more formal arrangement with contracts. Right now, every collaboration that we do is handshake deal, so it's based on a lot of trust. And we trust the people and the people trust us because we're the ones that are splitting money with them and sending them money on a regular basis. And, we want to be, transparent with people who have given us the gift of trusting us to collaborate with us. And then also while managing, kind of the monthly, like you've got to create a report. So some months it's like, here we're sending you this amount of money, with no explanation, and we've never had anyone question it. But I can see, the need, especially as I hope that we grow in volume, because in business, I think something that I'm learning that maybe that they teach in school, if anyone has gone to business school, that if you want to be profitable and grow, you either have to have high volume or high margins. And so, since we don't have high margins, we are going to need to develop greater volume. So that will naturally, I think, need to translate to kind of tightening up some of the business processes. And that might get into things like contracts and statements of account and stuff like that, which is where we'll look to find people who, we can hand that off to in a way that enables them to succeed with the task.
Another important detail I probably should have mentioned too is that we don't make merch for shows that we don't watch ourselves. Like either one or both of us has watched it and loved it, and that's why we make that product. So it helps a lot, I think, in terms of our authenticity and also being able to connect with someone else within the fandom that we're doing merch for. It just keeps it really authentic and sincere because we're making the product not just to make money off of it because it's a show or a character or a movie, something that we watch and that we want to support. So
We have time for one more. Anybody?
Robin. There's a microphone coming your way.
Although you don't need one.
We're
That's right. Yeah.
okay. But it'll help for the video actually because it's being videotaped. Are you saying I'm loud?
I'm loud. Yeah. So here's the deal. I love women in business, and I love all of you. You know that. But it's a scary proposition. It is a scary proposition to give up your regular job. It's a scary proposition to keep putting yourself out there. It's a scary proposition to say, hi, I own a business. So what kind of support have you put in your life to help you when you're afraid? When you are, when you're sitting and going, can I do this? You guys have each other. But at the same time, everybody needs, and it doesn't, it can't, you guys aren't together, but you're together as business partners. So you still need a support network. You still need something. So what do you put in your life to help you know on the day when everything's not going as well as you want, or the month, or whatever, the quarter, that it's still the right thing to do. It's still the way to go. I know that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. LaShawn?
As a business, we have advisors, and we collectively look for advisors in certain areas where we know we're going to have questions. But I mean, those are the things that you know that you don't know, and then you're kind of asking about the unknown unknowns, which is like, you get up and you're there for the morning and everything's going great, and then you get this email that like your website is down. Okay, well, are you fixing that? Developer sends email to me that says your website is down. And I ask developer, are you fixing this? And they say, we develop everything else. That you need a webmaster for. And I'm like, webmaster. Because I'm not my lane. So we figured it out together, but then they're like giving me suggestions, and then I'm going on blogs and forums. So, I mean, you kind of go through and figure it out, and now we have a plan. But I mean, for the few hours that our website was down, and GoDaddy was like, it's phishing, and they removed it from like our GoDaddy account altogether. Oh no, it was a crisis day. So crisis. They were like, no, this one phishing thing, and it was like something silly where it was a background login that should never have been. It's not front facing. It's not a consumer thing. It's not something that somebody coming to watch content is ever going to get to. And they just wrecked the whole thing. So, we're freaked out, but we worked it out. So, I mean, it's we work with developers that we trust, and that relationship is great. So it's like working with people that you trust. It's also, trusting that they are going to be able to troubleshoot in the moment, and that you're going to be able to troubleshoot in the moment. So you both go out there with your guns blazing, and you're like, all right, we're doing this. We're going to figure it out. And then, just trusting that everybody is on board with trying to fix something, or calling an advisor that, that's their area of expertise, and you're like, hey, listen, webmaster, what's that? So we have a lot of people that kind of help us out in that way.
Yeah, I think I always think of there's a saying that's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with other people. And I think it took me a while to find the other people, and so you will, you can't do it alone. You just can't. And so what you're going to do is you're going to find that person who is going to go with you, and who you will just know has your back. And my webmaster has been with me for 8 years. He is like my work husband. He's like he's a straight dude, and he loves Tello, and he's just been there for me. And if I'm hey, I'm going off to do Clexacon, can you check the support emails? And he just it's as much his baby as it is mine. And I think when you find someone who this company, this thing, this idea that you started, if it's as much their baby, if you didn't find a partner like Fangirl shirts in each other, you have to find that person who's this is my child too, and I want to see it grow up and do well. And you have to find that person. And it will take you a while, but at some point you will find that, and you might find it in the most really bizarre places. So I've had him, and in order for us to grow, I've had to sort of be well, I can't keep. There are certain times when I am afraid every day. I just wake up and I'm what the hell am I doing? How did I get here? How am I moving forward? Why am I dealing with lawyers? We start off with a handshake and let's go make a thing. And now it's kind of getting into serious stuff. Now, yes. we are, I mean,
Level up.
I'm not, but my actresses are, yes, we have Emmy nominations, yeah. So, yeah, I think at some point you kind of remember where you started from, and then you just continue to say yes, like Bonnie talked about, and you just keep moving forward, and you keep learning, and you keep finding people who are gonna be there to support you, and you will find them, right? Like, at some point, like, the people who aren't with you or aren't in your tribe will drop off, because it'll get hard, and those are some really tough decisions too, is knowing who can you not work with? Like that, some of the stuff that I learned with Tello is who I can't work with as much as it is who I can work with. And that's just time and sticking to it. And it is like taking, I think you said, taking that first step. You know, if you think about the 20 things that you have to do, you will freak yourself out, right? So you just have to go, what do I have to do today? What is the most important thing that I have to do today in order to move myself forward? And when you break it down like that, it becomes much less scary. And so that's what I think it's like, finding that person who will like lay down in the street with you, who will take care of your baby, and they're there, and you will find them. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.